another episode of Candy's Classic Game Shrine. Today I'm going to go over the SEGA Game Gear. This console was released in Japan October 6, 1990, and in the US, North America and Europe, April 26, 1991. Australia got it another year later in 1992, but for now, let's focus on the US, because that's where I'm from. The SEGA Game Gear came out to be the Nintendo Game Boy's competitor, and is basically a portable Master System, and it has its own library of games. However, there is a converter that you can purchase, which allows you to play Master System games on your Game Gear, which I find to be really awesome, and they're fairly inexpensive. I think $20 is what I saw it for in the store last week. I'm lucky enough to have a retro video game store nearby. Otherwise, you can find them on eBay, Facebook groups, etc. Now, the Game Gear, aside from being Game Boy's competitor, had a few things going for it. I believe the Atari Lynx was out at the same time, but nobody gave a damn about that, because Atari kind of went under the radar once Sega came and tried to compete with Nintendo. Now, the system is a mono system, as you can see with the speaker there. It has a pretty nice, flexible D-pad, I gotta say. It's not as comfortable as the Nintendo D-pad, but definitely a second favorite. It's got the two buttons just like the Master System. You have your start button, your power switch, you have your extension port. You have your extension port here, where you would take the little cap off. There we go. And you can plug in different peripherals, you can plug in your link cable, things of that sort. Here is your headphone port and your volume adjusting wheel. Now on the side, there was a contrast button very similar to the one that was on the Game Boy. I think it's called brightness on this, and contrast on the Game Boy. However, this enabled you to see better on the abominable screen that this thing had. Yes, it was color. Yes, it was lit. However, it took 6 batteries that drained in 2 to 4 hours if you played like I did. And I only had 2 games growing up. The problem that the Game Gear faced was that the screen had a lot of shadowing. It was really difficult to see, and that's saying something considering the Game Boy is a stretch to see too. There were issues with malfunctioning and capacitors later on down the line, so they didn't hold up as well as the Game Boy. It had a really good library of games though, I must admit. This screen here, aside from the battery suckage and probably the size, this was probably what helped kill the system off. There are replacements. There's a guy on Atari Age that does replacement screens, and they're brand new and gorgeous. I'll put his information in the description if anybody's interested. For now, I'll just put on a demo. Actually, I'll just see if I can do this. Start game, yeah, it's fine. SEGA! I always loved that growing up. This is what it's like trying to play on the console. This is what you see. And this is with the brightness at the best setting. Otherwise, it can be completely white or completely black at, either end of the button scroll wheel. Aside from the battery suckage, you did have options like the AC adapter, which I'm using here. It's basically the only way I'll play this, because I don't have money to be replacing the batteries so often. They run out quite quickly. I know there is a mod to do a rechargeable battery, but I'm not going through all of that. Most I would do is change the screen, personally. Now, Would I recommend everybody go out and get one? If you like to collect consoles, if you enjoy the history of video games, if you're a Sega fan, I definitely recommend it. It's good to know the history of video games and appreciate where your current ones have come from. And as much as I like to joke and make fun of this was a handy little system. And I think there's a lot of great titles that you'll be able to discover once you pull it out yourself. And you have the Master System library on top of it. And you also have a bunch of cool peripherals, like a TV, I believe it was, a TV tuner, radio tuner. Gosh, I can't even think of all of them, but there were a lot. I hope you all enjoyed this review. I know it's short, but I wanted to give you guys something to tide you over while I'm currently working on the top 10 that I'm doing, because that's taking up a bit of time as well, so didn't want you to think I forgot about you. You're all awesome, and I really appreciate all the new subscribers that I've received, and if any of you guys have suggestions or criticisms, let me know. I'm open to it all. Alright guys, till next time, take care.